Welcome to the Stoic Responder Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Healy. As a special agent who spent more than 15 years conducting large-scale fraud, money laundering, and public corruption investigations, Stoic philosophy provided a mindset edge that became the foundation of my professional success. My mission today is to share those same ancient mindset lessons with you so that you can turn obstacles into opportunities and adversity into advantage. Time to muster up. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoic Responder Podcast. This is episode 60, Show Them Their Mistake. Before we get into the meat of the show, I want to remind you of our favorite 501c3 that supports the law enforcement community, and that is the Overwatch Collective. Overwatch Collective is a nonprofit podcast funding therapy sessions and supporting mental health initiatives for our first responders, veterans, and their families. The motto over there is one more is one less, and I personally take that to heart because one more individual that we can provide services to is one less statistic. You can check them out at the overwatchcollective.com. I also want to mention that September is Suicide Awareness Prevention Month. If you are in a first responder job, if you're in the law enforcement community, if you are a dispatcher, if you are a paramedic, if you are a firefighter, if you are in law enforcement administration, we need to take care of one another. We are in a high-risk profession where the likelihood of suicide is far greater than the population at large. Also, the likelihood of some of the other mental health problems that can lead to suicide, such as PTSD, depression, burnout, substance abuse. Those things happen at a higher rate in our community than in other communities. And it's important for us to remember that. It's important in September and every month to be aware of what we can do as individuals, what we can do to help prevent suicide. And that comes down to three letters, ACT, A-C-T. Number one is ask. If you know somebody or have a feeling that somebody in your department is not well, needs some help, if they're expressing suicidal ideations or thoughts, if they're saying things that lead you to believe that they might be in a mindset that leads to self-harm, ask. Ask them directly. A lot of times people just want and need someone to talk to, and just being that person who asks, are you thinking of killing yourself? Do I need to be worried about you? Are you okay? How can I help you? What can I do for you? Asking those questions, but not just asking. The second step here, the second letter is C, and C stands for care. You need to care. You need to ask, and then you need to listen. You need to be an active listener. You need to care what this person is saying to you, because you might be the lifeline that they needed. And the third and most important step is T, take action. You can reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. You can call 988, and that will get you there. You can call 911, your local dispatcher, emergency services dispatcher. You can, encourage or reach out to your agency's employee assistance program. You can reach out to people like the Overwatch Collective. You can reach out to people like the Live Unconquered Foundation. You can reach out to people like the Mighty Oaks Foundation. There are a ton of foundations and services out there that are trying to save people's lives. The important thing is that you take action, is that when you get that outcry, when you listen to somebody, when you provide that lease on life that they need and are looking for, don't just leave it at that. Take action, get it in the hands of professionals who can truly provide you the tools and the resources to get that person the help that they need. If you need help with that, if you need resources, you can also reach out to me. I will give you my full attention. I'll give you everything that I can to help you save a life. So guys, getting into it. Again, this is episode 60, and the title is Show Them Their Mistake. Let me start you out with a quote from Marcus Aurelius. He says, "Shall any man hate me? That will be his affair. But I will be mild and benevolent towards every man, and ready to show even him his mistake, not reproachfully, nor yet as making a display of my endurance, but nobly and honestly." All right, so I read this quote and I think about the situation we all found ourselves in the summer of 2020. I was out there running search warrants. It was a crazy time to be in law enforcement. A lot of my friends from the Houston Police Department were getting called out to, guys who had been in investigations for 15 plus years were putting on uniforms again and going out there and getting their riot gear on and dealing with that sort of stuff. It was a crazy time to be in law enforcement. And of course, a lot of this was triggered and kicked off in the wake of the death of George Floyd in the custody of the Minneapolis Police Department in 2020. Rioters and activists, obviously, we all know about this. A lot of them from organized anarcho-communist anti-fascist type groups appropriated a phrase that had long been popular with European soccer hooligans and skinheads. We saw it everywhere. The phrase is, all cops are bastards. And pretty soon, these protesters, these rioters, these, I'll be gentle, we'll just say rioters. They were spray painting ACAB everywhere, right? Or the numerical equivalent, which was like 1312, spray painted on buildings. If you were in, I saw it in Houston, I've seen it in Dallas, we saw it all over the place in the summer of 2020, and it's continued, right? Spray painted across American cities, posted on social media sites. I can't tell you how many people that I had respect for, that I had relationships with, who posted ACAB in their social media accounts, on their Instagram, on their Facebook. And a lot of these people, influencers, entrepreneurs, I don't even think they necessarily knew what it meant. They just wanted to be part of a movement. But the problem with it is, it's not saying that Derek Chauvin was a bastard. It's not saying that the people who didn't intervene were bastards. It's not saying some cops are bastards. It's not saying bad cops are bastards. It's not saying corrupt cops are bastards. It's saying all cops. All. It's a definitive, broad-brushed statement against 800,000 people in this country who happen to be in the law enforcement profession. All cops, all of us, every one of us, are bastards. When we're faced with this sort of prejudicial language, right, it can be easy to get defensive. I certainly did. I would see that stuff posted, I'd get angry. After all, I didn't do anything. I didn't have my knee on anybody's back. I didn't, not provide care. I didn't do anything deserving of the enmity that they had towards someone else. But does that defensiveness win any hearts and minds? No. And that's what Marcus Aurelius is telling us. Instead, he's inviting us to consider the transformative potential of responding to that sort of hate, that all cops are bastards sort of hate, with love and benevolence. Now, this is a very Christ-like thing to do. I'm a Christian. I know many of you listening are as well. That's a very Christ-like thing to do, to respond to hate with love and benevolence. But this is what Marcus is telling us to do here. He's saying that rather than proving your critics right by retaliating with anger, by retaliating with resentment when faced with hate or hostility, try responding with gentleness. Try responding with understanding. This is an approach that's about passivity. It's not about weakness. It's about choosing to rise above negativity and embodying the virtues that we're supposed to practice as Stoics. Virtues like kindness, patience, and empathy. When we respond with negativity, with positivity, when we meet hostility with understanding, when we meet hostility with empathy, we not only elevate our own character, but we lift our profession up above that noise. And there's plenty of noise. The idea here, folks, when somebody hates you, show them their mistake by loving them in return. Now, again, easier said than done. I'm not saying you go out and hug your local anarcho-communist, but don't give them a reason, at the very least. Don't give them a reason why their words are true. Don't prove your critics right by retaliating with anger. Stay calm, stay measured when faced with that kind of hate and hostility. There's that old line, I think it's from Roadhouse, right? Be nice until it's the time not to be nice, right? Patrick Swayze. I refuse to acknowledge that there's a remake of Roadhouse. That doesn't exist to my mind, just like there's no acknowledging the remake of Point Break. Any of these Patrick Swayze movies that have been remade, Red Dawn, another one, we don't acknowledge the remakes of those. We only acknowledge the originals. But I love that. It's that idea that be nice until it's the time not to be nice, right? Somebody spray painting ACAB on a building, someone saying you're a bastard because what one other cop did. They're trying to goad you into proving them right. Don't. Embody the virtues of kindness, of patience, of empathy, and rise above. Respond to negativity with positivity if and when you can. Respond to those who hate you with love. Show them the error of their ways. Show them their mistake with your genuine actions. That's what Marcus would tell us to do. And that's what Jesus would tell us to do. So we're in real good company if we follow that advice. All right, folks, get out your Big Chief notebook, get out your pen or pencil. I want you to write down a journal prompt that I think is going to help you a lot. I know this prompt helps me. Ask yourself, what are some ways that I can show empathy to those who hate me? It's going to force you to think about those who hate you. I don't mean generally the public at large or the Instagram influencer community or whatever it is that on any given day decides that they hate all police. Think about specific individuals. Think about people in your department. Think about people in your personal life. What are some ways that you can show empathy to those people? What are some ways that you can prove them wrong through your specific actions? How can you take someone who hates you and love them in return? All right, folks, one more episode for you this week. But before we go, let me tell you a couple of ways that you can help keep this podcast going. Number one, you can pick up a copy of my book or books, if you'd like, on Amazon. The first is called In Valor, 365 Stoic Meditations for First Responders. The other one is called Indispensable, a Tactical Plan for the Modern Man. You can get those on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, anywhere you get your books. They're available on Kindle. They're available on Nook for instant download right now. Or you can get the paperback editions as well. You can also shoot me a message if you want a signed copy or copies. These books are great resources for law enforcement. They're great resources for first responders, especially the most recent one, In Valor. If you want to practice this philosophy, if you listen to this podcast and you think I could use a little bit more of this, then pick up a copy of that book because it's going to give you quotes, contextualization. They're directly relatable to your job. It's going to give you daily journal prompts and action items that help you integrate the lessons. Number two, subscribe to the Stoic Responder Substack for free at thestoicresponder.substack.com. On that page, you can get the podcast delivered to your email, but you'll also get my weekly newsletters with Stoic leadership and personal development tips. And finally, folks, like, share, and subscribe to this podcast so that others can learn about what we are doing here and they can avail themselves of the same philosophical musings that I put out 4 times a week. So, folks, thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, you are how to roll. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe, like, rate, and share this podcast so that we can spread the benefits of Stoicism to other first responders. It will only take you a few moments, but it can help us tremendously. Until next time, how to roll.